Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cleveland Sports Bros podcast. I'm Matt alongside my brother Nick. Nick, how's it going today?
Great, big, exciting day for Cleveland sports tonight.
Yeah, we got Cavs versus Boston Celtics Eastern Conference semifinals, game one. Cavs are major underdogs, but hey, they still got a chance. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, update on the Cavs, and also want to provide an update on your Cleveland Guardians and their hot start they've had. So first, Nick, let's talk some guards because it as fun as they've been, it's still not the playoffs. So I figure we can save the playoffs for last. What do you think?
Definitely. And in the first 35 games of the year, they are 12 games over 500 at 23 and 12, or that's 11 games, and quite a hot start. 2.5 games in front of the Minnesota Twins, who just had their win streak snapped by the Red Sox at 11 games. Uh, Cleveland's pitching hasn't been the greatest as it's been in years past, but their bullpen and their bats are what is giving them a chance night in and night out. And uh, players like Stephen Kwan, who unfortunately have uh, has a hamstring injury now, he's been off to a all-star start, and it's just very exciting to watch. We'll get into that Kwan detail in a moment.
Yeah, it actually is 23 and 12. But yeah, and right now they're in the middle of a series against the Detroit Tigers. And the start of interleague play, not interleague, interdivision
AL
divisional
Central.
play. Yep. And Detroit doesn't have the best record right now, but they're still an okay team. And you got to take care of business in your division. And then they have the White Sox, who are kind of having a really rough start to the year, and as probably most people expected. So hey, these are the most important games in your division. You got to win them. And I realize now it's not the Twins or the Royals, which are in second and third place in the division right now. But hey, still got to win. You got to beat the teams on your schedule.
Definitely. And I was watching the game very closely last night, as I'm sure many uh, Cleveland Guards fans were. The big news, as I had mentioned, sadly for the Guardians, Stephen Kwan, who's really off to a hot start, um, is going to miss estimated 4 weeks due to hamstring tightness. He didn't bang into the wall; he just pulled that muscle. And but the big name that was called up last night, the man that made his major league debut, Kyle Manzardo from AAA Columbus. He had three bat at bats, struck out all three times, but uh, the Guardians and their fans are really excited to have him up here to see what he can do. It is believed he can provide gap power, home run power, and we'll see if he can get off to a nice roll himself.
Yeah, I think Stephen Vogt said when asked about the 0-3 start with three strikeouts, he said it's tough to hit in this league. If you haven't struck out three times in a game, you haven't been here long enough. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, we fans, there's a lot of hype around Manzardo, and I think that'd be such a huge spark. Obviously, you want to see Quan back as soon as possible, healthy, because he's just so reliable. But yeah, having another kind of big bat in the lineup would really be great for this team. And I feel like, especially early on in the season, that's one of the favorite things I've seen. Like you said, the starting pitching hasn't been quite as dominant as we've seen. Unfortunately, a lot of that's due to injury, but the bats are also doing a lot better than what we normally see this early in the season, especially. And one of those bats is Jose Ramirez, which I know we wanted to talk about him. Nick, what's going on with him lately?
So Ramirez right now is uh I don't have the stats in front of me, but I do know he has 18 home runs and 28 RBIs. The stat I was referring to was his average. Um, but
Seven home runs.
yeah, what I say? Um,
It's all good.
yes, but the big stat that came up last night was a franchise record. Uh, so last night when the game was deadlocked at one apiece in the bottom of the sixth inning, Jose Ramirez hit a solo home run down the right field line off the foul pole, and it gave Cleveland a 2-1 lead permanently, and that was also the final score. But the franchise record he set was hitting an 87 go-ahead home runs in his career that topped the great Larry Doby, who had 86 of them. So that stands out to me, especially knowing uh, who Larry Doby was and how popular he was in the early 40s. And we all know Jose loves to bring that power, and his iconic saying, bro, home run pitch. Um, so it was very exciting to hear that, and just want to see him keep swinging the bat like that. It was the second game in a row he had a go-ahead home run.
Yeah, and he's great and just so good to see. And it just seems like he's never out of an at bat, until it's over, right? So we've seen a couple times this year a home run in a grand slam. Well, a home run in a grand slam on the 10th pitch of the at bat. So two home runs on the 10th pitch of the bat in this at bat in this early season, and we know opposing pitchers and teams and managers fear him, and he provides such a, I think, important kind of veteran boost for this mostly young team. And also, a big problem is to have that guy behind him, Naylor, batting. So would like to see it maybe a few more bats come alive, but so far I think we really can't complain too much.
Yeah, we did see Bo Naylor this weekend against the Los Angeles Angels, uh, in a clutch rubber match, hit his first career grand slam that put the Guardians up 7-1. And I recall just nights before you and I were texting back and forth, uh, they have kind of gone cold putting up runs. So, and they had dropped a couple series before that on the road. So it was good to see them back home, putting up runs and putting beating the teams that you expect them to beat. As we all know, Trout went down for the Angels. Otani's no longer there. And like you said, for the Tigers, they're not the most dangerous team in the AL Central, but every division matchup matters.
Yeah, definitely. So Nick, anything else left to add for the Guards before we move on to the Cavs?
Uh, nope, they play tonight at 6:10. They will face the Tigers in game 2 of 3, and it's going to be a nice stretch of division matchups, 11 of the next 13 games. So I'm really excited. You got like up until May 19th, I checked, full of division games, and 2 of the 3 series are home.
Yeah, and they play someone else in between. They play the Rangers, but yeah,
Rangers,
for a while they got the Twins.
the White
Um,
Sox.
but yeah, the after this series with Detroit, they have the White Sox and at the Texas Rangers, and then they play the Twins. So yeah, a bunch of division games in there, and wouldn't it be great to just kind of take an even bigger step ahead with the lead in the division. Minnesota kind of started off a little bit slowly, but they came back. We all knew that they would. So would really like to, of course, expand on this lead in the division. So, all right. Well, Cavs playoff basketball continues after a very hard fought game 7, 7-game series against the Orlando Magic. Last I checked, the Cavs were kind of underdogs by something like 12.5 points. I've seen anywhere from like 11.5 to around 12.5. So the point is, big underdogs. Nick, what do they have to do to? I'd say win the series. Let's be optimistic. What do they have to do to win the series?
Well, if we're being optimistic and we think they can win the series, I think it's going to go the full 7 games. Uh, no matter how you look at it, you know, it's often to say you got to steal one on the road, and uh, you know,
They have to.
yes,
Yep.
it and as crazy as it sounds, if they're gonna have any chance of winning a road game, you gotta kind of surprise them tonight. And not that I'm saying that if they did end up winning tonight, that you just take the night off and say, "Oh, we'll go back home, split a 1-1." No, if you somehow win tonight, you want to keep fighting. Of course, all we can do is talk and watch and hope. Uh, but I watch it very closely. Uh, Darius Garland, he seems to be very uh, predictable and careless with the basketball. He seems to dribble in the key and turn around and spin around and not know what to do with the ball. I've watched games and it's like, why aren't you going up with the basketball? Or he seems very hesitant. I don't know. What are you seeing from Garland?
I don't know what it is because we know how good of a player he is, and maybe it's just look, some players hit rough patches from time to time, and I don't think the moment's too big for him or anything like that. So a lot of this, again, he's still a younger guy. I think a lot of this has to deal with maybe feelings about last year and how the team got kind of booted early on against the Knicks, and that was a little bit unexpected. And players have talked about, or at least I remember at least one of them talking about it, how, you know, it can just easily affect those guys, I think. So maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I expect him to bounce back against Boston. And really, if he does and plays the way he did, kind of, especially in that fourth quarter of game 7, this Cavs team has a good chance. And obviously, another thing that would probably need to go the way, the Cavs' way is Jared Allen coming back. He missed the final 3 games of the series against Orlando with hurt ribs. Still don't know if he's going to play tonight. From what I've heard, it kind of seems doubtful.
Hmm.
But we'll see because he's such a key component to the Cavs' success. And I don't know. What do you think?
I was just gonna bring that up, and I've also heard Porzingis is doubtful for the Boston Celtics. He's their big man, and I've just heard what a good rim protector he can be. So again, I'm no expert, but the Cavs, especially tonight, if they're gonna, take one on the road, they gotta attack the basket, get to the free throw line, and make their free throws. I've been watching very closely these past 2, 3 games, and every player, even Donovan Mitchell, I've seen him miss key free throws at the line, and he had a rough start in game 6. Although he scored 50 points and was the only Cavs scorer in the fourth quarter, he left 6 points at the line that really could have ended the series in 6 games. Um, so they gotta attack the basket and make their shots when they're at the line.
Yeah, and they do have another big man who's good, Al Horford, who we've seen in the past. It seems like he's been in the league for forever, and he's perhaps not putting up the same kind of numbers as Porzingis, but he's still going to pose some problems, I think, for the Cavs, and hopefully they can contain him. But also, I mean, they have so many weapons: Brown, Tatum, White, uh, Drew Holiday, even and others. I'm sure. I haven't followed them all that closely either, but we do know they'll they're probably the best team in the NBA. So to draw them in the semifinals isn't easy. But hey, look, if you win this series, it's probably the best team you're going to face. You know, maybe depending on who comes out of the West, but certainly in the East, at least, it'll be the best team you face. So, no reason they can't win. And obviously, it goes without saying, it'll take them hitting shots and just, I think, playing Cavs basketball. Play tough. You got to bring the toughness, I think, in a way that Orlando brought it to Cleveland. Seemed like they were really a tough team that was fighting hard, and they have some great players too. Maybe I thought maybe not quite the star power the Cavs have, but they showed that if they could bring the toughness, they could actually do some damage.
Oh.
All right, everyone. Thank you again for listening. We're looking forward to bringing you updates, more updates throughout the season, and hopefully after the Cavs win this series. Be sure to tune in. We appreciate all our listeners and fans. You've been listening to the Cleveland Sports Bros podcast.